girls, Gallifrey497 here. Welcome to another classic series Doctor Who review. Today, due to the Mondasian Cybermen returning this Saturday in a 1-0 time, oh my goodness, can't believe I'm saying that. Today we're going to be reviewing the 10th planet, which is obviously the last story with the first Doctor and the first appearance of the Cybermen. On the back of the DVD, the synopsis reads, the TARDIS lands at the South Pole in 1986. The arrival coincides with the appearance of Earth's forgotten twin planet Mondas, along with visitors from that world, the emotionless Cybermen. It's up to the Doctor and his friends to stop the creatures before they convert Earth's population into similar cyber creations. But the encounter will have a devastating effect on the Doctor. Our first story is one of those must-see Doctor Who stories for Doctor Who fans. Like the first Doctor story, The Unearthly Child, obviously sets so much things up. And in this one, it sets so many things as well. The Cybermen are such an impactful foe, sort of going hand in hand with the Daleks now. And obviously it taught this idea of regeneration. We don't get a full understanding, just like the Doctor changes his face, like oh my goodness. I don't really explain it till like a few generations later, what the whole process is. But it's quite fitting that Steven Moffat's bringing back the Mondasian Cybermen, so that with Peter Capaldi regenerating as well, the two sort of go hand in hand. It's a very grounded story, and obviously set in the North Pole. It gave me vibes of quite common like Peter Capaldi stories, maybe like Peter Harness writes, where you've got an Earth invasion, and you sort of got all the tactical stuff, and it puts in sort of real world, where you've got astronauts in space, and there's the option of using nuclear weapons, and it's a really nice sort of thing. Like obviously you've got the 4 parts, and it is explored quite a bit within this, but it just reminded me of sort of what recent stories have done in the Peter Capaldi era. It goes without saying, the Mondas Cybermen design is one of the most unique designs, to be honest, one of my personal favourite Cybermen designs. If you look at behind the scenes, like it was done just because it was cheap. But it's really nice because we get to see that evolution of the Cybermen throughout the years, and this is a nice thing at their starting point. I think this is the most creepiest design of Cybermen, and I don't think they've ever been able to top that, because now it's sort of like they come across as robots. I don't think you really get that sort of like, oh my god, they're us. And this also, you can see the eyes sometimes, that's really creepy, just to sort of look twice, oh my goodness, there's people in there. The cloth faces and all this stuff. And it is a really nice design. Obviously the voice, I've heard a few people think it's quite annoying, but I quite like it. It's so iconic, so fun fact, the voice was done by a guy called Roy Skelton, who did various Dalek voices over the years, and various voices in Doctor Who, but mostly famously playing the character Zippy in Rainbow. There we go. Taking over the characters of this story, we have the first Doctor, obviously played by William Hartnell. It's his last performance, and it's quite a shame really, because behind the scenes stuff, he was very ill. He was very ill performing his last performance, so they had to write him out of episode 3 completely. It's a shame really that he wasn't be able to give that much of his best performance. However, he is still a fairly big impact in the story. When he's there, he gave some great speeches. The Cybermen, they're illogical, and they will just be like, this is the way it's going, that we're not going to question, and Doctor gets really angry at points. And obviously you've got that famous line where he's like, emotions...
Love, pride, hate, fear! Have you no emotions, sir?
Polly in this story doesn't really get a lot to do, really. She tries to reason with the Cybermen for a bit, but apart from that, I just don't think the story gives her much to do, to be honest, which is quite a shame. As opposed to Ben, who's like given all the sort of stuff to do, like, because obviously he was in the sort of army, and all his sort of training kicks in this episode. For example, when he used a film projector and blind the Cybermen, which is a pretty cool thing, but Polly doesn't really get a moment like that. General Cutler was a really interesting character. Obviously he starts at the start like your stereotypical general, who's just like blah 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 blah, orders, 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 might say her highway. Quite a Paris Cybermen really. They give a quite interesting twist in the story, where obviously they're making the choice about whether to sort of have either Mondas save the Earth or save the astronauts, and obviously his son is one of the astronauts, and that's a really interesting dilemma. And obviously it's such like a, oh my god, what do you do? Like if it was your son, you have to outweigh the proportions. It was a really interesting thing that sort of brought him out of that stereotype. I said pacing is a bit of an issue in this episode. When it's excited, it's really good, but you do get those sort of slow moments. which is nice, but there's just they go on too long, and like episode 3 just doesn't really sort of go anywhere. It's just sort of like shouting orders like, oh, we must do this, we must do that. Sadly, episode 4 is missing. With the DVD, you do get an animated version. I've also seen the Telesat version, which was released on VHS. I remember watching that when I was fairly young, and I was still like, oh my goodness, this is brilliant. And there's a lot of action that goes down in obviously part 4 and the Regeneration, for example, and it's just like, oh my goodness, like that is, it would just be a dream come true if they found it. But the problem is the animations they release on DVD, there's no consistency whatsoever. It's just like, right, we're going to go to a random animating company, and they've all got different styles. Like, I would just love animated consistently, would be a blessing. But, you know, but this one is one of the fairly decent ones. Overall, this one of Doctor's most unique stories, obviously having the Simon element and the Regeneration element, sort of planting the seeds, really. The legacy they've made from this story is just a wonder. Cybermen are just an absolutely amazing foe, and especially in this form. I can't wait to see what they're going to do with them in the series 10 finale. Obviously the regeneration aspect doesn't really come into it in the end. You do get in the story, because I know obviously William Hartnell was ill, he was going to film episode 3, but you obviously do get sort of like, oh my god, the Doctor's really ill, and it does show that progression, I guess, quite nicely when he sort of comes to being like, oh, this bottle of wine is wearing a bit thin. You believe that, because you've sort of seen it throughout the course of the story. So there's a lot of high tension, I guess, in the story, with a lot of sort of like decision making, which is like, every decision is like, oh my god, ah! If you haven't seen this story, I highly recommend checking it out. Obviously primarily for the Mondasian Cybermen, and obviously the Regeneration as well. But you know, it is one of those Doctor Who stories which tries to ground itself and make sort of high tension out of serious situations. So it's a really interesting story. I did ask your guys' thoughts, and I got Walking Harry on Instagram, and he says the 10th Planet is an absolute cracker. The Doctor, Ben and Polly are a great set of main characters, despite the Doctor having a nap for much of the story. The idea of one group of people making decisions for the whole planet Earth is a very compelling one, which makes for the very edge of your seat TV, especially at the end of episode 3. And those Mondasian Cybermen are by far the creepiest and overall best Cybermen in the show's history, damn straight. Everything from their humanoid faces to their emotionless voices, and really illustrates how dark a concept converting humans into robot-like creatures really is. They are masterful creation, and I'm very excited to see them come back this Saturday. I've been waiting for it all series. Thank you very much, Harry, for your cracking review of the 10th Planet. Yeah, I know what you mean, like with the Mondasian Cybermen, especially John Simm as well. Like, because we know they've been coming, like it's just been sort of taking priority really, because it's sort of like always in the back of your mind. It is a shame really. Like, imagine if we didn't know that these two elements, the Mondasian Cybermen and John Simm, were returning. Like, imagine just watching the episode like Mondasian Cybermen, John Simm, So I'm sure there'll be plenty of other surprises in store. But it would have been nice to just go blind and be like, oh my god, like Peter Capaldi's got his wish and got the Mondasian Cybermen, and who could have blamed him, because it's just an absolutely thrilling and terrifying design. So as always, guys and girls, thank you very much for watching. Please comment, like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter, like my Facebook page, Instagram, Google+. Links to that stuff in the description below. Have you seen the 10th Planet? What are your thoughts on it? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's awful? Let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to continue the chat down in the comment section. Just to quickly plug a trade I did for World Enough and Time. It got over 10,000 views in less than 24 hours. And by the time I record, I think it's pretty much over 15,000, which is absolutely crazy. And I've had some really nice feedback on it. So thank you everybody for commenting on that. And sharing it and liking it and telling me how much you enjoyed it. I'm really glad I could sort of do that with the footage we have for the episode. And also, thank you very much for watching, guys and girls, and I'll see you next time, and enjoy Saturday's episode. Bye bye.